Real quick, before we get into the show, I wanted to share a new service called Getita that Ken and I have been using that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome to another episode of Firing the Man, the podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of entrepreneurs who have successfully transitioned from traditional employment to business owners. Today, we are honored to have Roy Coughlan as our guest, a seasoned entrepreneur, podcasting coach, and prolific podcast host. Roy has an impressive track record, having founded 20 companies across 5 countries. His entrepreneurial ventures span various industries, reflecting his adaptability and innovative spirit. In the realm of podcasting, Roy has established 6 podcasts, 4 of which have reached the top 0.5% globally, including the Speaking Podcast, the Awakening Podcast, the Meditation Podcast, and the Learn Polish Podcast. His 5th podcast, the Crypto Podcast, has achieved a top 1% ranking, and his latest endeavor, The Podfather, is rapidly gaining recognition. As a dedicated podcasting coach, Roy has guided numerous clients in launching their own successful podcasts, helping them break into the top 10% of shows worldwide. He also assists individuals in securing guest appearances on top-rated podcasts to promote their businesses or books. In addition to podcasting pursuits, Roy is the co-founder of VA World, a company providing virtual assistant services to businesses to maximize productivity and profitability. In today's conversation, we'll delve into Roy's entrepreneurial journey, his insights on building and scaling businesses, and the transformative power of podcasting, and practical advice for those looking to fire the man and embark on their own entrepreneurial paths. Stay tuned for engaging and informative discussion with Roy Coughlan. Roy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, David. Looking forward to the conversation. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So to get things started off, can you share with our audience a little bit about your path in the entrepreneurial world?
I was a young entrepreneur. So at 9, I was going around washing cars, doing a bit of gardening, delivering leaflets. At 11, I started newspapers. So I was delivering newspapers in the area around me. With the money from that, at 14, I bought a lawnmower. Then I was going around cutting grass. Around 18, I was buying and selling motorbikes. Kind of realized, hey, you paint up a motorbike, you can sell it for a few $100 extra. So it was always, then I studied construction economics and management. And when I finished college, I couldn't get a job. So then I had to go away and do another course, which was construction site supervision. Taught myself AutoCAD because the course was like one of these government things that you're doing Foxers for the people in there, not getting paid, but the people that were, the instructors were getting paid. It was like the usual corruption in a government organisation. So there was a computer. I asked them, get me an AutoCAD book. I think it was AutoCAD 12 or 11 at the time. Read it from page 1 to the end. And then they had kind of where you get work experience and worked with the council doing road design. But the money was brutal. It was like £100 a week, Irish pounds at the time. So, you couldn't live on that. And I started working for a mechanical contracting company and started off as doing CAD and then just worked my way up to project manager, contracts manager. And I was with them for like 8.5 years. Then with another company for about 3.5 years as a regional manager. And then kind of moved to Poland and have never worked for anybody else since. Just kind of doing my own thing for the last 18 years.
Outstanding. That's a really good story. Now, one thing I find really interesting talking to entrepreneurs is oftentimes they do have something that started in childhood. A lot of lawn mowing businesses, lemonade stands, and I'm always curious to ask, did you have a role model or somebody that you were looking to that got you interested in entrepreneurship, or was it something you felt like you're kind of born with?
I think I was born with, like, someone has asked me that recently. It's like my dad was a chief projection, so he worked in the cinema. Most of the time he was there, which had an advantage that I could go to the cinema as often as I want. But on the side, he was doing photography, and he was doing that since he was 20, and he was very good at it. So he'd do weddings, and my mum would put the album together. So that, I saw that from, a young age, but there was nobody else. My brother wasn't really entrepreneurial. He's worked for somebody, he's still working for somebody, and, different, there's just the two of us. So I think it came from within.
Outstanding. And you had mentioned you have not had a boss for 18 years. And because the name of the show and the theme of the show, I want to dive into the day that you decided, I'm done working, I'm ready to fire the man, and here's my game plan. Can you walk us through that?
There was 2 points that when I left one company and the other, and I think it's kind of important because, the way when you wear something and you have a conversation. So with the first company, I was doing very well, and I was kind of on a bonus system as well. So when I made profits, what I negotiated was 5% of above profit. I mean, they knew me would demand 50%, but I thought I was doing well at that. So, I was happy getting above the expected profits 5%. But it worked out well because at one stage I was able to buy a car with a bonus just outright. And the boss that I was dealing with for about 6 years left, and I saw him being treated bad. At one stage, this is a very big company, and I used to fly up to Dublin and meet the board would be there. And at one stage, it was the owner and the director I was dealing with, and he was having a conversation. I remember he put his hand up like that to him, as if to shut up. I remember thinking, don't ever do that to me. Like that's... And I could see they weren't treating him well, yet he was really dedicated to his job. So he got kicked out. The next guys in line were saying, oh, we'll look after you, we'll treat you better. And when it came to commission and bonuses, they were like, oh no, that was an easy, say 15% that we were to make. We changed that to 20. In other words, they started taking the money off the table. And I've heard of so many people that's happened, which is strange when you're making them so much money. Like I was one of the top performers for making profit. And they're basically getting greedy, and it happens to a lot of people. So I think some people can resonate with this. Then I went with the other company, and that's something similar kind of happened there. They were kind of like, nitpicking with bonuses. And what happened is I met a Polish girl and went to visit her folks in Łódź. So that's the city I ended up living in. And I saw an opportunity because I had 3 properties at that stage in Ireland. And I said, oh, property's extremely cheap there. It's like €500 per metre squared or something. It's like really, really cheap. So I started buying it. And then I kind of said, oh, there's an opportunity here that I can start getting the foreign investors for the property. Because it was at a time, it was around 2004. And I started going to BNI meetings. So I was still working for the company, but I cut down to 3 days a week. And so I'd come out 1 week of the month, and eventually the relationship ended, and I kind of would have lost everything because I released equity and moved. But it was like, it felt good. I mean, you were asking me, I know I kind of gave you a long answer, but it's, the main thing is, it's like you're never free. And when you're controlling yourself, and the best thing that's ever happened to me, is years later, I'm very close with my family. I'm like a mommy's boy. I ring my mom every day. We're very close. And even with my grandmother, I used to call up every day when I was at home. But even when I moved to Punt, I used to ring her every Sunday. And she lived to like a few weeks short to 96. But when she was dying, she got cancer. I was able to go back. I was able to spend over a month with her and stay by the bed. If I was working for somebody, you're not able to do that. And it's like you're in control of your own life. And there's nobody actually going, oh, you have to be here, or, like say a school run or something like that. I mean, I've got equal custody of my child, and I bring him to school, and then the next day I'm collecting him for school. That's the way we work on and off. I'm one of the rare people that actually get on very well with his mother. But I block out time. I'm with him. I'm present. And I do think, but I know that if I was working for a corporation, I wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't accept that. Okay, 1 minute you're coming in at say 10 o'clock and you can work later the next day. Most of them don't want that. And I think that's the most important thing is you have total freedom with your life.
Absolutely. I could not agree with that more. And it's been fun as I've gone through this podcast and heard from our listeners that, hey, I'm firing the man. I'm doing it. I love getting those emails because I know what gift they're about to receive, and that it's the feeling of freedom. It's the feeling to spend time with your kids when you want and to prioritize things that are really important to you. And so that's an outstanding story. I'm glad you shared it. So as I was prepping for this interview and doing my research, one of the things that stood out to me was you've built 20 companies across multiple countries and multiple industries. And I would imagine that you've learned some key lessons about scaling businesses efficiently. And so what are some of those lessons and how do you apply those to your current ventures?
One of the things that I learned early on was I had a Polish company and I had an Irish company. I had a lot of Polish companies, but with the property, I was doing a lot of property. I built 30 apartments, I had commercials, and I was renovating over 100 properties. And at one stage, the accountants in Ireland, which were auditors as well, they gave me a bill and said, oh, you have this tax liability. And I went away and I bought a book called Tax Magic. It was written by a guy from the Revenue. And I went through it like my AutoCAD book from page 1 to the very end. And I got my little stickers and my highlighter. And I said, can I do this, 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 and this? Yeah. I ended up getting a tax rebate. And it's like, I've learned, even in Poland, I've learned that most of the accountants are just processing the numbers for you. They don't care if you save an extra 1,000 a month or 10 grand or whatever. You have to look after the figures. So I learned that from an early age. Don't just outsource it and think he's got it, because a lot of people, they just put it into a shoebox, hand the shoebox, you look after my account. Don't do that. Like, watch everything. Look at the VAT if you're VAT applicable, and just do the VAT rebate. Watch every single thing, because it's your money. And I hear so many people going, oh, it's tax deductible and that's why I'm buying this. I never look at that. It's like, that's my money. So it's not, I'm buying it because it's tax deductible. No, it's like, I tried to buy, I was able to put my son through the company because I got the VAT back, and it became because I don't know, I just checked with the can I do this? So when you do things like that, it's brilliant. Or if you can do trips and stuff like that, it's great because you're getting money. Or if you're buying stuff like a laptop and phone, which you use anyway, and you can even, with your house, you can put a percentage away. And sometimes people don't realize you can do the same with the bills and everything. And it's just learning these different things and talk to other entrepreneurs. Hey, what can I do? And you can even go a step further and just be putting the company, like what I would say for someone starting, I think it's Delaware in the States. But for me, it's look at what country is the best for you. Because most of the time people set up a business and cross their fingers, and then if it takes off, then it's too late to be, and then they're trying to change it and move it. Straight away, look at what's the best tax optimization that you can do. And once you do that, then if it's working out, you're not paying a fortune in capital gains or corporation tax and stuff like that. You're keeping as much money in your pocket as you can. So that's one of the things I would say. The next one would be in solicitors. I've had over 100 court cases. So I mentioned about all my properties. I got caught with the crash. It took a bit later. I was doing well, but everybody else fell down. And I was trying to juggle the balls, thinking I'd be okay and they'd come right, but it didn't. So I ended up losing the whole lot. So through that, I had over 100 court cases. And what I've learned as well is a lot of the solicitors, they're only billable hours. They don't have your back. They don't really care. I mean, there's the exception, there's a few. But what you do is you're paying attention. You're going there. You're putting all your paperwork together. You're preparing for every case that you've got. Because when you're an entrepreneur, especially if you get into construction, it's part of the game. You're going to be in court, unfortunately. So don't let it faze you. Because the first few times you just panic and it's a horrible feeling, and you don't know the zone that you're going into. But what you do is start learning about it, maybe read a few books on it, talk to a few people, But when you're in there, don't just sit back and let him do all the talking or do all the talking. Make notes. Each time I've won, and I've had some big cases, each time I've won were when I passed the piece of paper and said, they've just said this, they were wrong. And we'd catch them out on a lie, and it flipped it. Because there was times where I thought this is going south. And by paying attention, and a lot of the times people don't do that. So I encourage any entrepreneur, don't ever outsource your kind of legal side as well. It's your business. You're the one that's going to suffer. So pay full attention to what's going on.
I really like that perspective, and you know, one of the things I want to drive home is, and I believe you're not an accountant or an attorney. However, you're learning about that topic to benefit yourself, and I think that's something as business owners, there are certain topics, in particular legal and tax, that are not the most exciting to read. I've read textbooks before, not exciting, important. They're important, and you're doing the hard work to make sure that you come out on top and position yourself right. So I love that. Now, to switch topics a little bit, one of the things that I think both you and I have in common is a love of podcasts, just the media form. And I'd love to hear, tell me about your love story with podcasts. When did you first hear one? How did you know that this was something that you really wanted to go deep on?
I'm actually not sure. Maybe it was Joe Rogan. I'm not sure what was the first podcast that I kind of heard, but it was through my journey of kind of losing stuff. Everything was about, I need to expose this, because I went to an event and it was, what's your quest? And my quest was basically, I need to expose, because I saw so many people throwing in the towel, marriage breakups and everything, because of kind of the corruption happened. And I went at the same event, there was really good speakers. And I hated public speaking. I mean, that's another thing now that I think is kind of important for the entrepreneur. When I was younger, I wouldn't go into the shop, even though I could go into a house and ask them, do you want the paper? Do you want your grass cut? That was never a problem. So it's kind of selective shyness, I suppose. And like even at 18, going to the bar, I would give my friend the money when it was my round, instead of just going up. It was just kind of, and when I was running these big jobs in Ireland, the one part I hated was public speaking. So at this event, I said, I need to become a good speaker. So I came back, joined Toastmasters, joined another Toastmasters. Then I formed my own club, an entrepreneur Toastmasters, became a coach, entered every competition, got into the final of 5 countries, done an open mic TEDx, done open comedy, and went to an event where there was a guy teaching how to be a podcaster. And I was like, oh, I like this. This is good for me to get my message out. But I said, I think I'd be attacked with my awakening one. Let's start off with the speaking, because I've got so many people that I've met through the speaking stage. And that was the first one. That was 7 years ago, the speaking podcast. And kind of from there, just meditation next. And as the ones you mentioned at the very start, just kind of kept going. And that's 6 now.
That's outstanding. Now, when business owners, I think, oftentimes overlook the power of podcasting. And so my question is, how can entrepreneurs and business owners leverage podcasts to build authority, attract customers, and grow their brand?
There's 2 ways. There's one is you do a tour. And I mean, like I've got some people on, say, 250 shows. So you can do a lot if you want. What some people do is if they want to start their show, they'll do the tour. They might do 50, 100. And because I mean, you have a different style to everybody else. I like your style, the way that you do it. And I like the name of the show and everything. It's unique. And what will happen is you're picking up something from each one. So you can do that, go on a few different shows and then have a conversation. Because just that, hey, what kind of mic are you using? What software, what platform are you on? And people will tell you, no problem. And then you go, okay. And they'll tell you the pros and cons. So you can build from that. If you're doing it yourself, what I said, some people, like they'll do it kind of for branding and they'll get out. But there's others, they might think, sure, who'd be listening to my show? And what I say is, you can have a specific kind of niche that your business is and interview the people that are your best potential clients. And instead of a cold call where you're trying to actually get in contact with them, you can say, hey, I've got this podcast. I'd love to interview it. And then you've got a very warm link, and you can have like I've got my form. My form is saying, hey, are you interested in doing a podcast tour? Do you want a virtual assistant? Do you want this? Do you want that? So many people say yes. I'm never selling. I never have to do paid marketing. People are coming in and they're actually doing it. So you can do that as well. And that way, it doesn't matter how many's listening, because you could actually have got a client that could be 100K to you.
That's an outstanding perspective. And honestly, I had an aha moment as you're talking about that. There is a huge difference, in my opinion, between a sales call and a podcast. With a podcast, you leave it kind of feeling like you just had a cup of coffee with somebody and you talked for an hour and you're friends. And after a sales call, it's very transactional. And it's using a podcast as a sales strategy to interview people that could be great clients, I think is outstanding. And honestly, something that I've never thought about. And so, okay, that's awesome. So, let's talk about monetizing podcasts and content creation. It's probably one of the biggest questions that I get is, do you make money with your podcast? And so I'm interested. For people that do have shows, what would be some of the first steps that they would need to take to start monetizing?
First, well, before the monetization, what I say to people is, don't just come into this and expect money to start rolling in the door, because it takes a bit of time to start building everything up. And I kind of set the stage. Put aside, you're doing this for a year no matter what. And the people that I work with, they end up keep going. They're still going, and it's lovely to see. But so many people, they come in, they look at the big boys and they expect big checks to start rolling in. They do 3 shows, they're gone. They do 10 shows, that's it. And they throw in the towel, which is a shame to see. So there's affiliates. Affiliates can work very well. I mean, I've had a few affiliates that paid monthly checks come in, and you can be very lucky. But the thing as well is, and I'm going to kind of show both sides. There's sometimes people, it's great when you've got a unique code that people can use, and then it's tracked, and the check comes in. So there's some that I've done that and it works very good, straight away. There's been others that I'm fairly positive they got sales, and I was like, I got nothing. And I was like, what's going on? And they reach out and they, oh, I mischecked that. And then they go, yeah, our team is looking at it. And then they just go, so just remove it. And it's so, you have to be careful as well. And the other thing is, like, I mean, sometimes you can have a guest on, and if your audience is after building, just have it just for that. So if you were talking to the person and it's very interesting and you know where to market it, you can have just the affiliate just for that. And you can actually do very well, because some affiliates can pay like $500 a couple of grand. It depends on what they're doing. So it's not just small little $10 here and 50 quid here. So you can actually do very well. The other thing is sponsorship. You can, like when you've got numbers on your website page, people can come in and they can start sponsoring your show. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. You kind of have to see what your niche is, how you're going to make some money. But I honestly think the best way is your own business. If you're a coach or whatever you're doing, your own business is the best way. And make sure you're actually letting people, because what happens is people get to like you. They go, I like your style. I've just left my job because of you. And then you're offering a service and they kind of feel, hey, I can trust this guy. And that's the way it works. So I think that's the best way of making it. There's so many different ways of doing it. But I think that's the best way is to make a few quid.
I like it. I really like it. One of the things that you mentioned was it's not going to happen right away. And you need to build up an audience. You need to get listeners. That's the asset that you would be taking to, say, a potential sponsor. And so at what point, or at what number of downloads, or what number of listeners or YouTube subscribers, or whatever that may be, should somebody start looking at monetization, at reaching out to those sponsors to get that initial sponsorship?
Well, with this YouTube, you need something like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours. But it ain't that. Like, I got 2 on my channels now. Like the Polish one, it's got like 1.433 million views, and my own one's 144,000. And say after 500,000, you could get less than $500. So people think I get $500,000. I get 100,000. Yeah, if you want to advertise on them numbers, you'll be paying probably $500,000. But they're not giving you that. They're giving you time. I think I worked out, it seems like it's like 0.05, it's really small. There's an increase. But the likes of Rumble, and there's also ones like, say, Spotify and different ones. When you're in America, a lot of them, they work. So it works per click. So you can get kind of $10 to $40 for inserts. So inserting at the start, mid, and at the end. And you can make money like that as well. So that adds up to give you some funding. But it's kind of, I think it's more about understanding what would be good for a company. Like, I just released one on my Podfather one, and the guy from LinkedIn was helping, discussing the different things. And he said, for the Polish one, the Polish airline is ideal for them. And I was like, great. So that's the plan. I'm going to actually start to reach out to them and go, hey, we can do an episode, have this link. So I'll be doing that. So when you realize, okay, we've got a niche, like for you, that there's different niches that you can go, all right. So there's people that actually help the transition of that as well, from going from an employee to self-employed, and just see who it works with. And they mightn't really look at the numbers. They could say, all right, look, every person that signs up, you're getting X amount. And just kind of think, and sometimes we get complacent with the business or the back. Just constantly step back. Like, I keep learning. I do a different course. I did that one not so long ago on monetization. I probably know all of this. There was just one thing in it of about 15. But it's just keep track the whole time and look at the different things, and like Rumble, and you can make money for putting it up. So like, you have your interview, and most people, they think of YouTube. They don't think of the Rumble. Rumble pays as well. And that could cover your Zoom costs or your Calendly costs or something like that, and get them things covered first. And also you can ask for a donation. I mean, the Polish one, I asked for donation. Sometimes you get $100 coming in from somebody. But the best one is Blind Boy. He's an Irish podcaster. He does audio only. And when he's on stage, he actually does tours. He wears a plastic bag over his head because he said he wants to go to the shop with nobody knowing who he is. And every episode he says, you can make a donation. It's a model based on songness, so you don't have to pay the people that can afford to pay, cover the people that don't. It's always going to be free for everyone. And he does that. And he's got something like I thought last time, I looked a few years ago, he had like 5,000 monthly people paying to his thing. So, but you have to keep asking. I found that, I don't do that. I kind of do my own thing now, and I have the VA and everything. But I found that when you ask, if you're consistent with it, people kind of accept. And it's not to be ashamed, because, the amount of work that goes into it. It's not a case you just wing it, have a conversation. That's it. Like, you're preparing before the conversation. You're having the interview, and then you're doing the editing, and then the marketing. Is a lot of time going into it. And if people are benefiting a lot from it, you say, hey, if you could buy me a coffee or something like that once a month, if you met me, would you buy me a coffee or a beer or something like that? And people, they think nothing is sending $5, but if every single listener sent you $5, you'd be like, okay, this is good.
Absolutely. I really like that. And it's an interesting media form because, you think of like a movie. That's transactional. You put out a movie, people buy tickets, they go to the theater, and that's your revenue source. Podcasting is natively a free media form. It's something that anybody can access generally for free. And so the monetization piece of it, you do need to get creative. And you have a lot of great tips in there for getting that ball rolling. So one of the things...
There's another one, actually, sorry to interject. It's like what I started doing, because I had such a demand, especially for the speaking, is I started charging. I said, look, it's a 6-month wait, but you can pay me if you want to jump the queue. And if you want shorts, because like I do shorts with the virtual assistant, so if you want shorts, you pay this amount. And there's a lot of people take that up, because when you get to a certain level, there's people like... There's some platforms, and it's okay. You can check all their details, but there's others. There's people reaching out to you. There's agents reaching out to you constantly. I get bombarded. I get hundreds of pitches, and there's a high percentage won't. But you just send them hey, because of this, and tell them what you're doing. Don't just say, hey, it's whatever it costs you want. Even if you start off at $30 or $50, you can say, look, because of this, I just want to help towards my cost because of the marketing, because of this. And most people will say, yeah, fair enough. Because you see some people, one guy saw you charging $10. I've seen some for 50. There's others charged like John Dumas, the Entrepreneurs on Fire. He's charging $3,500 for people to come in. And there's others, like, because I help people go on and we look at this and it's like, is it worth it? Because some are like $7,000, $10,000. So you can get really high level. And if you're reinvesting, you know, like Mr. Beast would be a perfect example of reinvesting in the business. He keeps reinvesting and it keeps feeding him. So if you're making money, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to go away and go on loads of holidays and everything. If you put it into the marketing, your numbers will go up, which in turn allows you to increase your price.
I like it. And yeah, those are some really good examples. And I never thought about charging for shorts or charging for like a come on the show sooner. And so, no, I've been in the game for 6 or 7 years and I'm learning stuff right now, which is outstanding. So one of the things that you had mentioned when you were talking about business owners using podcasting as a media form for advertising was going on a podcast tour. And this is something that certainly getting on shows, like if you ask enough people, some people are going to say yes. And so I think the opportunity to get on shows is somewhat easy, right? And however, once you're on those shows, getting the maximum return on investment is something that I think a lot of business owners should be thinking about is, at the end of the podcast, it would be helpful for the listeners to know who you are, why you're credible, and what your service is that you're selling. And so for people, what advice would you give for people that are going on a podcast tour to maximize their return on invested time?
One of the things I tell is you can have like a virtual assistant that starts doing somebody like me that's actually helping you go on to different shows. But what I don't do is I won't fill out the form. And a lot of people get agencies to fill out the form. And what I tell them, even when I say, please don't fill out the form, let the guests that you asked me to come on the show to fill out the form. And the reason being is they're doing a podcast tour and they get somebody that fills out the exact same thing, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. So they end up getting similar interviews just with different podcasters. And if you're creating shorts, you don't have much new content. Whereas when I've got my form, sometimes they'll say something and I pick up on that and I just go on a tangent and I get a brilliant interview. Or I'll ask them, what's your best video that I should be watching? If they have a book, I ask them to send me the book. I used to buy the book. That's another little tip for you. I was like, why am I buying a book when they're coming on my show? I said, I don't like digital. You send me the book because I read 100 books a year. It's like, give me the book. And so that helps as well. And yeah.
Absolutely. I love it. That's really good advice. Now, one topic I wanted to definitely touch on is virtual assistants. And you've mentioned them a couple times today, and you've also are the co-founder of VA World, which is helping businesses connect with virtual assistants. And so for people that don't have a virtual assistant, what would be some of the first steps that they would need to take to get one? And why do entrepreneurs need them?
I suppose what I'll do is tell you my kind of journey, what I kind of went through, why I kind of formed. So when I was in Ireland doing this kind of halfway across, I set up a recruitment because there was a load of Polish coming across. So I had a recruitment license and I was positioning a lot of people in the construction world. So I kind of realized, hey, this is a nice business model. When I was doing the podcasting, I eventually kind of said, well, I need a bit of help here. And I'd go to fiverr.com, and you get somebody, and most of the time, like, you were spending so much time trying to explain things, or they'd start off the first month and then there was Upwork. And Upwork seemed better because like you were getting screenshots. I was like, okay, this is good. I can see what they're doing. And then I was looking and I was like, it just looks like they're on Facebook on, say, the Polish one. It's like most of the screenshots look the same. I think they're on another computer and they're just making it look and they're billing me for it. And so every time I do it myself, I was saying, okay, I'm doing it better. So I then said, okay, let's do this in a way. And it's usually like packages. So a lot of times people think when they're getting a virtual assistant that you need to pay somebody X amount per hour and full time. And it's not. It's like you can get somebody like for, a couple of hours a week. And what you should do is do the stuff that sucks the time out of you and you don't like. So, for example, I've doing the shorts and posting the shorts, and they do very well because but you set up the expectation. You don't just assume somebody's getting into your head when you're planning it. And we do packages from say $99 or say $300, and we're doing a lot of stuff for that because that way you know exactly what you're getting instead of spending hours tracking and watching are they doing what they're supposed to, because we've already agreed this is what we're doing, and okay, grand. And so that way I set it up in a way that I feel I would like it. And the other thing is passwords. So we've got the office, and my partner has the passwords for all the different things, but the team don't. They're just working on the computers that are doing it because we've never been compromised. And I know that a lot of people, they want to look after, because some you can have editor access and things like that, and others you need a bit more to do it properly. But it's we're just making sure that your information is safe and someone's not going to start deleting stuff, because that can happen. You can fall out with somebody that's working on Fiverr or any of these different places, and they can just, because they've got the hump and you fell out, they just delete stuff. So you don't want that. So you just make sure that your stuff is protected, and that's the way we do it. And usually it's actually clients that work with me. I kind of help them to make their life easier. That's okay. How can we do it? So I don't even upload the stuff and send it to them. I put up my video. I edit I've done over 1,500. I edit it myself, and the reason I do it myself is because I understand the conversation and I know what's a good point for a short and stuff like that. So I'm listening, and plus I enjoy listening again as well, because when you're having the conversation, you're fully present. But then when you listen, I listen now when this goes out as well. Anytime I'm a guest, I listen and I go, you enjoy. It's different. It's a different experience. And I make the notes. I put the timestamps, and as I upload it, then they just use click grab, take it, and they just post all the different shorts, and I tell them exactly, and then I just do weekly calls exactly. Okay, check this, and this, and same for the different clients. So what I would say is start doing the things that you hate, because if you can outsource stuff that doesn't cost you that much, but you can spend your time, whether you're coaching or whatever your business is, and make more money. And look at it like that. And you don't have, most people say, I can't afford to have somebody to hire to bring in. Well, that's why a VA is brilliant for you, because you can do it at a small amount of money. And if it starts benefiting and increasing your numbers, you go, okay, now I can get the next level, which in turn brings in more customers. You get more clients. You're making way more money, and it's a win-win situation for everybody. So it's kind of the way we've done it. It's in our interest to make sure that the clients are actually getting a return on their investment. Whereas most people, it's just they look at a transaction cost. Whereas for us, it's we want long-term vision. We want somebody that comes in to be working with us in 5 years' time and telling their friends. So there's clients that come in and they're actually recommending, and we even do a commission as well for the people that come in. Hey, if you recommend somebody, we give you a bonus on stuff like that, because if you're telling people we're going to benefit long-term, so we pay out the first kind of a couple of months. So we're not making nothing, but we know how long they last for. And by doing that, then it's kind of keeps the wheels oiled.
I love that. One of the things that I know I've run into when managing VAs is the expectation that they know what I want. And I think that just the communication piece is so critical. And so for people that are getting, say, their first VA, what would you say is the most effective way to communicate what you want and to ensure a good finished product on whatever that task may be?
I think you have to, because usually people say, I want a VA, and then they just kind of get it going. You need to just step back and write down exactly what they're going to be doing and how, and you might even need them to sit with you as you're doing the first. So, for example, if someone's doing the editing of it, you show them how to do it the first time, because you have a system, you have a way of doing things. Everybody has their own way of doing things, even if they're specializing in editing. And you can just say, look, this is the way I do it. This is the way I want it. And then you know if you're getting it exactly as you want. And the best thing is, we found, I'm even contactable. So sometimes there is things that can go wrong. I mean, that's normal. But the trick is to have open communication. And we have managers overseeing it as well. So even for the post, you don't want to post with a typo error or something. So we're watching everything. Yeah, this stuff can slip through the cracks. And if they're going, hey, I thought I was expecting this. So we're contactable by phone. in WhatsApp and sending messages. And yeah, if there's anything, we address it immediately. It's not a case of, you're waiting a week or a month and then you have a monthly conversation. It's like, no, if there's something that's coming up, you do. But what I would say for those thinking of hiring a virtual assistant, just spend the time to actually what you really want them to do. Instead of just winging it and just kind of going, yeah, just do this, do that. But you really take the time, and then you can kind of add to it. Go, can you do this as well? Can you schedule? Can you organize, my holidays? And they can do anything you want. Bookkeeping, the whole lot, everything is doable. The website, the whole changes, adding courses to it, content creation, no problem at all. But just take the time to plan how you're going to do it. And then you have the conversation, you'll find out exactly what you need. And then it's created, and you just make sure that you're happy. And if there's any issues, you just communicate it, and we'll make sure that it's addressed immediately.
Okay. Very good. Very good. There's a lot of lessons there. Now, before we get to the fire round, if people have enjoyed this podcast and are interested in checking out more of what you do, what is the best way?
It's my name, roycoughlan.com. If they're watching, there's a QR code, and it's roycoughlan.com, and the virtual assistant is va.world.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Now, Roy, we've got a section of the show. It's called the Fire Round. It's 4 questions we ask every guest at the end of the show. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Outstanding. What is your favorite book?
I've read, as I mentioned, 100 books. I just constantly read books. So it's hard to say, such a book is very good. But one that I made the most notes for was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because if you're an entrepreneur, read it. And what I found is I said, I have to read it again. I was finding I didn't have time. I got the audio, and it was just as good because I was able to listen to it. But then I got my youngest child is 11. And I said, you need to listen to this. And he actually enjoyed it. So get the whole family involved, because when you're an entrepreneur, don't think you're on your own. If you've got children, hey, can you do a bit of marketing for me? Get help. And I think that book it should be on everyone's list.
I love it. What are your hobbies?
I'm always doing something. Like, I like to go to the gym now, but say I bought my son, we used to go playing pool. So we bought a pool table. So playing pool, we like to play pool. I like going to the cinema because of my dad. There's like a 4D kind of cinema here where the chairs shake, there's water, there's air. So that'd be another kind of, we make sure we try to do that once a week. And I suppose traveling as well. So for anybody that's an entrepreneur, what happens is you tend to be working and putting off. Reward yourself. Make sure that you go, okay, I'm putting X 10% away towards my holiday fund. So me and my son, we love theme parks, and we try to go on a holiday. There's a theme park, and go to theme parks. So you're having the holiday and the theme park. So they're kind of I class them as my hobbies.
Very nice. What is one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
Asking for a holiday.
Oh, I fully agree with that one too. I fully agree with that one.
Because for those that don't really know, sometimes people have to give a month's notice. And sometimes you just decide, someone will say, hey, let's go away next week. And most people, when you're working for a corporation, they're going, oh, you're needed. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that one. And our final question, what do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Mindset, your belief system. Just don't tolerate failure. Just don't get complacent. Like, I'm constantly reading books. I'm constantly looking things. Have your circle of friends. So it's all the mindset.
Outstanding answer. I love that. Roy, thank you so much for being a guest on the Firing the Man podcast. We are looking forward to staying in touch.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much, David.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?